a mace coming. Vaishnavas, because if we understand something of our Vyasparnim, is that our Gurudev has said, and our whole parampara is saying, that who is the people that come in this world to save the conditioned soul? And then they rescue everybody, and then give them a room, and then they hide in the room. Like even many years ago in ISKCON, they used to say you take the worm from the stool. The worm again trying to go back to the stool. So therefore, Baladev has a club and mace. So Baladev, he killed Davida, the gorilla, who actually did some seva. He did some seva for Lord Ram, and got some mercy, but he didn't like Lakshman. So you like Krishna, but you don't show respect to Baladev, Prabhu, Lakshman, Vaishnavas, then it's also a big problem. And anyhow, gurus are there, their job, they're serving. Actually, people think, oh, I'm serving Guru, but actually Guru is doing all the seva. He's taking responsibility for the jivas. So therefore sometimes the plow is coming a little bit, scratching, and this is helpful for the jiva. We've seen many times, not many times, but sometimes we've seen the potency of the Vaishnavas too. People think, oh, I'm sadhu, I'm shanti, I'm peaceful. But little poking, little joking from the Vaishnavas, little pushing the ego, how is this fire? How is this fire inside? We're thinking, oh, I know this, I know that. So, anyhow, this is the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is saying these four things: Mahaprasade, Govinde, Namni, Brahmani, Vaishnava. We sing every day. But those with small sukriti, they not have respect for Mahaprasad. They don't have proper faith in Govinda, in Sri Nam, and Vaishnava, also Vaishnavas. So the start of our Chaturmas is glorification of Sri Guru and their function. Today also is, I don't have all the what is it? Sripad Giri Maharaj, he came to England, no? Yeah. So such a Vaishnav, great Vaishnav disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Tom Vishpad, Srimad Bhakti Giridhari Maharaj, he came to England actually. He was sent by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada to England. He landed in Eastbourne, on the English coast. Now Eastbourne is lots of old people. They all go to Eastbourne. But actually Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he wanted a Gaudiya mat where they landed. You know, where you first land. Anyhow, he met many dignitaries, but there's some history was there that he went, but he went in Vaishnav dress, but he came back with some suit and some Western cloth. This Leela was going on. And he said, oh, these, the English, they had some nice arguments, you know, some good, I think Srila Bhakti-Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj was there. I think I'm hearing it from one of his books. Anyhow, he came back and he presented the arguments. And then the Vaishnavas, they quickly dismantled the Western arguments. But he was the first pioneer, you know. Like sometimes it's said that Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, he was like the first rain to come. But the Vaishnavas have explained this rain, when it's in the desert, just creates more, like now the rain's coming and it's very uncomfortable, very humid. Gurudev also said, oh, if I'd have come a little bit sooner, then I maybe would have saved many of these Prabhupada disciples from getting married and becoming grihastas. Yeah. So anyhow, the Vaishnavas are coming and they're showering their mercy on the conditioned souls. But today, this day, many of his glories, Gurudev also spoke on the glories of Sripad Giri Maharaj, that he was very fortunate to hear from his lotus lips, and many of the disciples, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, my main memory is this, that he came to England and he preached like that and was very successful. And then Swami Maharaj, he also came, but then Swami Maharaj, he established temples all over the world. So this line, like, not to minimize Hira Maharaj, but whatever service you're doing, main thing is you're doing service. Is small service or big service? Many times we've seen big personalities, they know many slokas, they just become proud, and then Purna Musika Baba. But simple devotee, they're doing chanting, they're not creating any offense, they're respecting everybody. Their position is good. But if we try, I'm a big scholar, no one can sing like me, no one can slokas like me, no one has brain like I do. We've seen many come and go like this. Then also sevaks, also I'm big sevak, also I'm no slokas, but I'm doing more seva. This is also not helpful. But simple devotees, even Gurudev, one time there was one prominent Prabhupada disciple who was on the edge of coming to Gurudev in 1996. After Gurudev had been in America, he was in England, and this devotee called up, and Gurudev chastised that devotee. He said, do you want sadhu sangha, or do you want third class bogus association? And he put the phone down. And then he laughed and said, long distance injection. Yeah. And then next thing you know, that devotee got on a plane and came exclusively to Gurudev. And Gurudev looked at the devotees and he said, to just be simple devotee is very good. I mean, we've seen many times. Gurudev, they know, oh, you have little something. They're not looking at your money, you know. They're not looking in your wallet. Oh, he's a big person, or he's a small person, he's not valuable to me. No, they're happy if you're simple and no duplicity and accept what they're giving, hearing and chanting. This is best position, because very easily, without proper association, this is why plow is necessary. Otherwise, how are the nartas are coming out? This is why we stay with the sadhus. We see many people, they come to Vrindavan, but they stay in their hotels and motels and their private accommodation. What benefit? You stay with the sadhus, whatever medicine they're giving. Maybe sometimes neem is coming, maybe sometimes rasgula is coming. Big feast, you know, no guarantee. Baladev piece of grass killing, or he's giving prem. So we always stay at the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, and under their guidance we try and digest what they give.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanu Pravaram Rajaras Rasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapannam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Ramana Pristhaya Bhutale Rupanuga Bhaktidam Cha Kripamurti Narayanam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of our spiritual masters, Nitlai Sriman Bhaktivedanta Sri Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shri Gurudev, Nitlai Sriman Bhaktivedanta Sri Vam Gosai Maharaj Shri Gurudev, to entire Rupanakariya Guru Varga, to our guardians, to all the Vaishnavis, and to especially these two beloved associates, Srila Prabhupada, whose disappearance day we are observing today. This is Tlai Sriman Bhakti Hridaya Ban Maharaj and Tlai Sriman Bhakti Saurabh Bhakti Sar Maharaj. So we just heard now like some glories of Srila Ban Maharaj. So If you go to purebhakti.com, there we can see that Gurudev has actually spoken on the centennial of Srila Ban Maharaj. He went to the temple and he spoke there. I've seen there's some pictures there also of him speaking on the centennial there, where he's recollecting how Ban Maharaj would invite Gurudev to come and attend the programs in his university, this Ban Maharaj University. And Gurudev would attend all the festivals there, all the yearly festivals there. And it said that especially Ban Maharaj would arrange very nice dramas there. It's these Brajvasis that perform very nice dramas. And in the Pushpanjali to Srila Ban Maharaj during the centennial celebration, I think it was in 2001. So that Gurudev said, among all those dramas, he said, one drama especially I still remember, he said, after all these years. So there was one drama where Radharani, she was writing a letter to Krishna. And when she was writing this letter to Krishna, she became so much absorbed in Krishna that rather than writing Krishna's name, she started writing her own name there, because she became so much absorbed in Krishna. And then immediately Lalita Devi, she took that letter away from Radharani and then she sent it to Mathura so that Krishna could read. And then Krishna, when he saw what Radharani had written, that instead of writing his name, she had written his own name, because she became so much absorbed in thinking about him, that Krishna, then he became absorbed so much in thinking about Radharani that it seemed as though he became vice versa. Like Naso Ramani, Naso Raman. In this way, sometimes Radharani becomes the enjoyer and Krishna becomes the enjoyed. So in this way, this Gurudev, he was recollecting that this drama especially, he still remembers, he said, the drama I saw there. So in his Pushpanjali there, during the centennial celebration, he also spoke about how from time to time he'd go visit Ban Maharaj and listen to his Harikatha. And in this way he also spoke about Ban Maharaj's life. He spoke about that incident where Ban Maharaj, Giri brahmachari and some disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they went to Kashi, and there was this big scholar, this principal of a big university. He said that, where are you boys from? And they said, we're brahmacharis from the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So this principal, he said, from that same mission where your Prabhupada is even giving Diksha to Shudras and to even those who are not born from Brahmin castes. Are you from that same mission? So he was trying to minimize the position of Srila Prabhupada. And as soon as they heard this, then these disciples of Srila Prabhupada, immediately they started quoting many shlokas from the scriptures. And then they cut all his arguments. So much so that when they were cutting his arguments, his wife said, now if all of you don't stop, he may even leave his body. Saying, just see how pale he has become now. Completely, his bodily color is completely changed. He can no longer speak. He's like stuttering so much. So let it be, she requested. She fell at their feet and she requested him. So in this way, this principal was bound to beg for forgiveness because of what he had spoken in regard to Srila Prabhupada there. In this way, we see that so many such people were humbled by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Like we see even, we've heard this, that Pujabad Aranya Maharaj, Bhakti Prakash Aranya Maharaj, when he'd speak Harikatha, what would he do? He didn't know, he was actually illiterate from an external point of view. But what would he do? He would take all these bricks, he would cover them with a cloth, and then he would write the name, and then he would have someone write the names of all the scriptures there. That this is such and such Ved, such and such Puran, such and such Upanishad. And in this way, when he'd speak Katha, and then everyone would say, oh, you're quoting so much. From which scripture are you quoting? And he'd say, from this, from that. They were bound to accept. Why? Because whatever he had listened, he had heard from Prabhupada. He never forgot. Like we see also, once Krishna Keshav Prabhu also, he was speaking Harikatha. And then the students in one university, they said, oh, you keep speaking the same thing again and again. Why should we listen? He said. Then Krishna Keshav Prabhu said, oh, a doctor, he has written a prescription. All of you are like those patients who have memorized the entire prescription but who don't take the medicine, he said. All of you are like that. You can read the prescription, you know what is the medicine, what are the different tablets, everything, but you don't take the medicine. But as for me, he said, I'm not as educated as all of you, but what do? I take that prescription and I go to some person who can read, and I ask him what medicine is given there, what medicine is prescribed, and then I take that medicine and then I cure myself, he said. He said, at least we are not so proud like all of you. And this way he said that all of you, although you claim that you heard this katha over and over again, how much have you practiced in your own lives? How much have you imbibed these instructions in your hearts? At least little have you imbibed. All of you are so proud of your education that you do not even bear to see what has been told and what you have heard. So in this way, this subtle chastisement, they were bound to listen to Harikatha. So similarly here also, this principal was completely humble there. So in this way, Gurudev, he spoke this incident. And then he also spoke about this university also. He said that it was Prabhupada's desire that the Brajavasis here, that there be a university. Not just a university giving mundane education, but ultimately Prabhupada said, I want the Jiva Goswami's Satsandarbhas to be taught in these universities, he said. Because the Satsandarbhas are the essence of the entire Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So I want the Satsandarbhas to especially be taught in this university, and also the scriptures of Rupa Goswami, and also the scriptures of all the other sampradayas, he said. Not just the Gaudiya Vaishnava sampradaya, but all the other sampradayas. And he said even of other religions also, he said. Because this way, when there's exposure to all the other sampradayas and all the other religions, then the super excellence, which is the unparalleled beauty of the literary contribution of our acharyas, it will automatically be highlighted then, this way. So therefore, following Prabhupada's order, this university was set up by Srila Ban Maharaj there. So Srila Ban Maharaj, he was born in Bangladesh, like many of Prabhupada's disciples, like Param Gurudev, Bharati Maharaj, Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, Siddhanti Maharaj, Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj. So many of them were born there. It is said that during Prabhupada's time, most of his disciples came from Bangladesh. That was like the epicenter of spiritual learning, East Bengal. Because Mahaprabhu, he went there. He blessed that entire place with his foot dust. Therefore, because of Mahaprabhu's potency, so many became devotees from that place, East Bengal. And then after some time, after India gained independence, the next place where many devotees came from was Medinipur. This was another place where so much preaching took place from here. So many devotees came from Medinipur. So similarly here, he was born in East Bengal, in Dhaka district. Dhaka is named after Dhakeshwari. So there, it is said that when he was born there, he was youngest of all his siblings. And then he was sent to Ranchi in Jharkhand to study. So there he was studying in Ranchi. So then automatically he came across books describing the lives of Dhruv Maharaj and Prahlad. So after reading about their lives, he was very much influenced. He was thinking, beginning from their very childhood, they became such great devotees. So then I must also try to follow in their footsteps. So in this way, gradually he started reading more and more books. And it is said that once he tried running away from home. So he wanted to go to Jagannath Puri and stay there. But anyhow, when he was going from one train to another, his family had already notified the police saying he ran away from home. So then the police, anyhow, they caught him and then they sent him back. And then eventually he went to university in Patna, where even this Nalanda University also, which is the oldest university. Some say, oh, the Oxford, Cambridge, they're old universities, but they're like nothing compared to Nalanda University. That university was there since so many years. For the Muslim invaders, they destroyed that university. So anyhow, because of the influence of Nalanda University there in Bihar, many other universities were also set up. So anyhow, Ban Maharaj, he studied there in one university in Patna there. And then he studied in English literature especially also. So he was adept in speaking in English also. So then it is said when he came back to Dhaka, there he saw some disciples of Prabhupada preaching there in Dhaka. So there especially it is said that Prabhupada, he spoke for like 1 month only on one shloka, the first verse of the Bhagavatam, there in this Dhaka University. Only for 1 month he just spoke on one shloka. In fact, Chaitanya Math has also published a huge book on the classes he gave there for 1 month. So then when he heard these disciples of Prabhupada, then he was thinking, he saw a picture of Srila Prabhupada. Then he said, oh, he is my spiritual master. So then it is said that his father fell sick. Then the doctor, he told him, if you don't get medicine from Calcutta, your father will die. So go bring him medicine immediately. So then anyhow, he said, all right, he went to Calcutta, but rather than buying the medicine, he said, oh, I'm buying the best possible medicine for my father. And then he surrendered onto the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Then he went, he started staying in the temple there. So when he went there at first, there, because he was from an orthodox Brahmin family, so therefore, first there were some things he saw, and he was thinking, oh, why is this, why is that? But then, when Prabhupada came, then Prabhupada himself called him to his room. He said, you stay here. And then Prabhupada would speak Harikatha to him for like an hour a day, every day. Speak Harikatha for him the whole day. And then it was seen that he became very close to Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada would tell him that, now you just come and listen to Harikatha, he said. You come and you listen to Harikatha, you stay with me. And then he'd stay with Prabhupada from the afternoon to evening. And this way, listening to Harikatha the whole day, honoring Mahaprasad. So in this way, then Prabhupada, he told him that you have heard so much Harikatha from me. So maybe you can write something down, what you have heard. So then he wrote this very famous essay in Bengali called Atmiya Ke. Who are my Atmiya Jan, my near and dear ones. So then Prabhupada read this essay, he became very happy. Like we see, no, even when Bhakti Kumud Sant Maharaj, when he was a small boy, he also wrote one essay where he said, oh, Jiver Sarup hoy, Gurur Nityadas, not Krishna Nityadas, Gurur Nityadas, because this Guru who shows the Jiva who Krishna is. So when Prabhupada read this essay from Bhakti Kumud Sant Maharaj, he became so happy that a small boy has such realization that first Guru comes and then Krishna. And immediately he had the essay published. He would encourage them so much. Like today, Acharya Prabhu was telling me that he read in one of the old harmonist magazines that once there were some devotees that were complaining so much about one devotee to Prabhupada, saying, oh, this devotee is like this, he's like that, he has so many faults, like this, like that, all bad things. And then finally Prabhupada said, okay, he asked, does he have one good quality? Then they said, oh, he plays the harmonium nicely and he does nice kirtan. And he said, at least you should have told me that one good quality of his before, rather than describing all his bad qualities. This is how Prabhupada was. He never looked at the bad in anyone. He only looked at the good. So this way he would encourage all the newcomers. So in this way, when this essay was submitted, then Prabhupada said, all right, this essay should be published in the Gaudiya. So that time Sundarananda Prabhu, he was the editor of the Gaudiya. So then when this essay was given to Sundarananda Prabhu, then Sundarananda Prabhu said, our Bengali is different. Our Bengali is like very darshnik. Means it's like Bengali mixed with so much Sanskrit. But we see that this new devotee's Bengali is more colloquial. It's more modern. So how can I publish? Also it's already laid out. Everything is already done. There's no space for more articles. Prabhupada said, no, still, anyhow, you have to put this. So then Sundarananda Prabhu, anyhow, he added that article there in the Gaudiya there. So in this way, Bhan Maharaj, he saw all the devotees there, and then he saw how they were shaved, clean shaved. So then he said, oh, can I also shave my head? Can I also have kanti around my neck? Prabhupada said, yes, all right, you can do all these things. And then he saw how some were wearing saffron. So he said, can I also wear saffron? He said, okay, you can wear saffron. Normally saffron would not be given so easily, but he said, all right, you can wear. And then within 1 month he was also given Diksha. And his name was Nandasunu Brahmachari. Before his name was Narendranath Mukhopadhyay. Now he became Nandasunu Brahmachari. Within 1 month he was given Diksha there. And then in this way he started preaching also from there. He started going everywhere. And then it is also said that in 1925, on the appearance of Vishnu Priya Devi, this God Mandal Parikrama began. And then he oversaw the entire Parikrama. And also he was in charge of all the dioramas, this Satsiksha Pradarshini, where he'd explain all the different pastimes of Mahaprabhu, Krishna and Ram that were depicted through different dioramas. Like we see all the disciples of Prabhupada, they were especially given this service. Like we've heard in the glorification of Sant Maharaj also, when he was a small boy, he would show all these different dioramas and he would explain to everyone. And his parents happened to be there. So when his parents were there, then Prabhupada, he called his parents aside and he said, just see your son, how intelligent he is. All these newcomers who are coming, he's speaking about all these pastimes. See how your son is performing such great service to Mahaprabhu's mission. This way his parents were so proud. So similarly, even like Ban Maharaj also, he would explain all the different leelas there. Because seeing these dioramas, it is very easy to preach. Because people, especially when they see these pastimes depicted through dioramas, automatically they become attracted. So in this way, he was given this service also there. So then also he was given this service in Kurukshetra. Prabhupada said, oh, our main service is what? Is to render service to Srimati Radhika in Kurukshetra there. Why? She's feeling so much separation there in this mood of Samyogini Radhika. So therefore we have to pacify this separation. And he said people, they go to Kurukshetra, they just bathe in Brahma Sarovar and they have no conceptions, nothing. All misconceptions. Like even now also so many misconceptions. Like recently there was one painting, an old Rajasthani painting, where Krishna, he was pointing to the moon, and then he was pointing to the sun, and all the Vrajavasis were looking towards the sun. It means Krishna was actually saying that there was an eclipse. So this painting depicted this pastime in Kurukshetra. But then some Muslims, they said, actually Krishna is pointing to the moon, and he's telling everyone to celebrate Eid, they said. So this way, there's so many misconceptions, right? That even now. And then someone had to come forward and say, actually that painting is depicting the solar eclipse Leela there in Kurukshetra. So in this way, people had so many misconceptions. So then Prabhupada said someone should go there and speak Harikatha there. And then in this way, clear all these misconceptions. So then Ban Maharaj, he went there, and then all these, he depicted all these pastimes. Nanda Baba taking all the Vrajavasis, Radharani, like this Leela we heard also. Taking a tulsi leaf and then placing a drop of a tear on it, and then this way subduing the pride of Satyabhama, and then Krishna meeting with the Vrajdevis, with the Rajavasis, Nanda Yashoda, and all these leelas. So Prabhupada became very happy. It was during this time Srila Sridhar Maharaj was also present actually during this time there. He was also present there. So then he also got so many blessings from Srila Prabhupada. So in this way, then it is said that Ban Maharaj, he was given sannyas in less than a year after that. He joined the temple in 1924, and then less than a year after he especially performed this seva of overseeing the entire Gaudamandal Parikrama, he was given sannyas in 1925. Prabhupada, he'd see anyone doing any seva with love and affection, he'd immediately notice. So once someone asked Prabhupada, which is the best type of service? The service rendered by the brahmacharis, the vanaprasthis, the grihasthas, or the sannyasis. Because we see Prabhupada had many wonderful grihastha disciples also. Like Nishikinta Sanyal. In fact, he'd give all his money away to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, he'd arrange that some devotees, like Paramahamsa Maharaj, would look after his family. So he was more than a sannyasi. Prabhupada would call Nishikinta Sanyal Jatiraj. King of all sannyasis, he'd address him. Although he was a grihastha. Same way, Prabhupada also had another grihastha disciple, Nimayananda Sevatirtha Prabhu. Although he was grihastha, Prabhupada gave him permission to initiate, he said. You can initiate, he said. So he also had many wonderful grihastha disciples. So in this way, they asked him, who renders the best type of service? The brahmacharis, the grihasthas, the sannyasis, or vanaprasthis? Prabhupada said, he who renders service with love, that is the best type of service. Irrespective of being a brahmachari, sannyasi, grihasthi, or vanaprasthi. Who renders with love, he said. Like we see even Bharati Maharaj also, before he got sannyas, it is said that he would wash pots the whole night. So then Prabhupada, once he saw him washing pots the whole night, and it was so cold, and then he noticed, oh, alone he's washing pots. I want to give him sannyas. Next day he gave him sannyas. Just because he was washing pots with love and affection there. So in this way, Prabhupada, he noticed this, and then Ban Maharaj, he was awarded sannyas, along with Bhakti Sarvasya Giri Maharaj. They were awarded sannyas on the same day. And because they accepted sannyas from Prabhupada on the same day, they were like lifelong bosom friends. In fact, this temple, this Bhajan Kutir that Ban Maharaj has, was actually the land was given by Giri Maharaj. He was the one who gave that land for him. Because Ban Maharaj, he had a dream where Lord Shiva told him in Kashi that now you must go to Braj and you must do bhajan there. So then he was thinking, where should I stay in Braj? So then Giri Maharaj, he told him, oh, this place is actually the Abhisar Sthali of Radha and Krishna. Radharani and Krishna, when they go to Vamsivat, Rasthali, they meet here in this place. So this place is best for your bhajan. I myself will give you land. And he arranged for this land for Ban Maharaj. It is said that even when Giri Maharaj was very sick, that time Ban Maharaj also was very sick. He was in the hospital in Agra. So then when he heard Giri Maharaj was very sick, he said, I have to go, I have to leave now. My godbrother might even leave this world. And doctor said, no, you cannot leave. How can you leave? All these tubes are attached to you, this catheter is attached to you. You cannot leave. And immediately he took all these tubes aside. This catheter, everything, he just took it off. Immediately he rushed to Vrindavan. And there, Giri Maharaj, he actually said, he spoke with Ban Maharaj and he left his body. And then he himself performed the Samadhi ceremony of his godbrother and everything else. So, he had a very intimate relationship with his godbrothers. Even in Bhakti Dait, Madhav Maharaj also. After Madhav Maharaj entered into Samadhi in his first Viraha Sabha there, Ban Maharaj, he was the Sabhapati. So then he was speaking about many different exchanges he had with Madhav Maharaj also. In fact, Madhav Maharaj, he especially liked the cooking of Ban Maharaj's disciples also. It said that it is said like when Gopananda Maharaj, it is said that once he cooked on Radhashtami, and then Madhav Maharaj, he honored this Mahaprasad, and then he told all his disciples, saying, this Ban Maharaj, you see how he is given training to all his disciples. So all of you should also take Siksha from him. So in this way he had a very intimate relationship with all his godbrothers. So in this way, he received sannyas along with Giri Maharaj there. And then he was especially given this task of starting preaching in South India. So then this mutt in Kovur, Ramananda Gaudiya mutt, then in Chennai near Raipeta, where Parthasarthi temple is, he established temples there. And then in this way he started preaching there. And then it is said that Sridhar Maharaj was also there with him. And then it is said that in one edition of the Gaudiya, it was said that Vishnupriya Devi, she was born on Krishna Paksha, and Vishnupriya Devi was born on like Panchami. Prabhupada was also born on Panchami. So they mixed up the dates. Vishnupriya Devi was born on, they said, on Krishna Paksha, and Prabhupada was born on Gaur Paksha, Shukla Paksha. So then when Sridhar Maharaj, he notified this to Ban Maharaj, and Ban Maharaj immediately he had this corrected. So then it is said that Ban Maharaj, he recommended Sridhar Maharaj for sannyas to Prabhupada. He said that, he's helping me so much, so you must please give him sannyas. So then Sridhar Maharaj, he was also given sannyas along with Shauti Maharaj on the same day. They were given sannyas on the same day. So in this way he was preaching so much. Also when he was preaching in Bombay, he preached in one place, Shruti Smarta Vidvat Sabha. So there when he spoke Katha there, his Katha was actually published in a newspaper in Bombay, where they said, now this eastern light, this light from the east is being shed on the west. Because Maharashtra is on the western coast of India. And the sadhus came from the eastern coast, that is Calcutta. So then this way they said that like when Swamiji was speaking, the entire place was filled, not an inch was left. In this way, so therefore Ban Maharaj, he spoke Katha there, and many people, they became devotees there also. So it is said that when he was leaving his body here in Vrindavan in like 1982-83, it is said for like 36 days he wouldn't eat anything. He would only drink one drop of Charnamrit. That's all. Only one drop of Charnamrit. And then his body became very hot. So much hot that even the doctor said, I don't know how he is still surviving when he has such high body temperature. So then he said, I'll leave my body on Guru Purnima. No one should touch me, he said, but because I'm absorbed in some particular mood. So then some devotee, some brahmachari who didn't know about this instruction, he went and he started massaging Maharaj's legs. So immediately then his mood was broken. Then he said, now I cannot leave on this day. You people did not listen to me. So then again they started doing kirtan again, and then he left on this day, today, on this tithi. So today, like we see also, he's about his renunciation. That he would wear, Prabhupada, he had him wear very expensive shoes. And then he said, now you have even renounced your renunciation for Guru's pleasure. Like we hear that story, one person was very poor, he was given like 1 rupee. And one person who was very rich was given 5 rupees. And the Guru said that the person who's gotten more money, one may say he's a bhogi. But actually the one who's very poor and he's gotten money and he's spending it like how he wants, he's actually bhogi. Because at first he didn't have anything, but the other one he had something and he renounced and he came. So therefore the other one is more of a bogey. So in this way, it is said that after India achieved independence, then the Naga Babas, there was a Kumbh Mela. Then the Naga Babas, it is said they actually did a lot of bad things to the sadhus, to the Vaishnavas. Some Naga Babas even beat the Vaishnavas very badly and many things happened. So then there was one assembly arranged to pacify the entire situation. And then Ban Maharaj, he was the Sabhapati of that assembly there. So today is also the disappearance day of his godbrother, Bhakti Saurabh, Bhakti Sar Maharaj. So we see that there's only one picture of Gurudev with Prabhupada, Bhakti Sarang Goswami Maharaj and Bhakti Saurabh, Bhakti Sar Maharaj. They're all speaking together in Indraprastha Gaudiya Math. That famous picture. Gurudev is standing up and the others are sitting behind. And there he's speaking Harikatha. And the Harikatha he spoke there was also published as a small booklet. This origin of the soul. So then anyhow, when Gurudev was there, he himself arranged everything. All the preparations in the Prastha Gaudiya Math. He took brahmacharis from Mathura. He made sure that everything was arranged. So because Bhakti Saurabh, Bhakti Sar Maharaj, he always served under the guidance of Bhakti Sarang Goswami Maharaj. It is said that when he was studying in Cuttack, there he came across Sachidananda Gaudiya Math. This math, especially the queen of Cuttack, she helped a lot. Bharati Maharaj, he preached to this queen. Bharati Maharaj, he spoke very strong katha. He told the queen that you think you'll remain a queen your entire life. What if in your next life you become some other person or some other animal? He chastised her and immediately she arranged. And also Subhash Chandra Bose's father, Jagdish Chandra Bose, he also arranged for the construction of this temple. So then Prabhupada, he had a very nice temple built there, Sachidananda Gaudiya Math. So there was this one Babaji, Rajbihari Babaji, who was not very scholarly, but still because he spoke such simple katha, straight from his heart, so many were attracted. Even during Gurudev's time, Gurudev said, I had a god brother. His name was Govindadas Babaji. He was Param Gurudev's disciple. Govindas Babaji, he said that he didn't know anything. He was so simple-hearted, basically it seemed that from an external point of view, he was not as scholarly as the others. But still, sometimes he would go to the army cantonment in Mathura and he'd speak to all the army, the majors, the lieutenants, and then all these people, after listening to his Harikatha, they would visit the temple, he said, in this way. Because he spoke such simple katha. So similarly, Rajbihari Babaji also spoke such simple katha and he was drawn. Then soon after he was given initiation. And then he served Prabhupada's mission there. And then he also served with Sarang Goswami Maharaj. And then he would also served his weekly editorial. Not his weekly, his monthly. The Saraswat Gaudiya Darshan. We see, they had such intimate relationships, all these godbrothers, that they would serve even their monthly journals. Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Maharaj, he was the editor of Sridhar Maharaj's journal, Gaudiya Darshan. And then this way, Bhakti Saurabh Maharaj was the editor of this magazine, Saraswat Darshan of Sarang Goswami Maharaj. And Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, he was the editor of Chaitanya Vani, of Bhakti Dait Madhav Maharaj's edition. And we see even the books that Siddhanti Maharaj published, Shauti Maharaj, Puri Maharaj, they would proofread the books that he had published because there was so much intimacy between them, although they were residing in different institutions. So in this way, we see even this book, this Tavakalpadrum, which has so many glories of Mahaprabhu, Krishna and Srimati Radhika, that was actually published by Saurabh Bhakti Sar Maharaj and Sarang Goswami Maharaj. Even the foreword is written in Sanskrit there. And then this book was published by Purushottam Prabhu also. Was given to him. It was given by him to Srila Gurudev. Then Gurudev, he gave this book to the Vaishnavas. And the Vaishnavas said, this way I received this book, Stavakalpatrum, from Gurudev himself. And I received this book, Gopal Champu, from Trivikram Maharaj himself. So these books especially hold a very special place in my heart. So on this most auspicious tithi, these great stalwart associates of Srila Prabhupada, they disappeared on this tithi. And then in this way, now we're getting more and more light is being shed on their glories. And in this way, we can, there's this one disciple of Prabhupada, his name is Bhakti Sadhak Nishkinchan Maharaj. None of us may have known, who he is. But Gurudev himself has written such a nice Pushpanjali for him. In one of these old patrikas, like in the 1960s, that Gurudev has written such a beautiful Pushpanjali. There he has said that after my Guru Maharaj left, I was feeling so much separation. But when I'd meet Nishkinchan Maharaj in Mayapur, the separation would be pacified. But now even Nishkinchan Maharaj has left, he said. Brings so much pain to my heart, he said, that even he has left. So all these disciples of Prabhupada are like great spiritual luminaries. And we can only pray at the lotus feet that we don't deviate from this path that Mahaprabhu has shown us. Ancha kalpatarubhesya kripasindhuvevcha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानगणशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय नदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। First of all, I offer my Sastangananda pranams thousands of times in the lotus feet of Sri Paramadadham Guru Pada Padmam Vishnu Pada Stotra Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev. Secondly, I offer my Sastangananda pranam thousands of times in the lotus feet of my Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Vargam. I offer my Sastangananda pranams and to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. By causeless mercy of Sri Guru Pada Padma, the Vaishnavas, we are celebrating these wonderful tithis during this Chaturmasya Vrat. Just now we had Guru Purnima, and now these disappearance days are coming. Guru Tattva is Akhanda Guru Tattva. All our Acharyas coming in the line of Mahaprabhu, in the Bhagavat Parampara, they are one. One in heart. Gurudev published this book, One in Siddhanta, One in Heart. Show that how he and Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, they are one in Siddhanta and one in heart also. So, we know, been hearing the special glories of Pujapad Bhakti Giridhari Maharaj, and we have know that his disciple Gopananda Bon Maharaj, he also awarded sannyas to Giri Maharaj, Tapasvi Maharaj, Muni Maharaj some years back. So we also know from the disciples of Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj some glories of Bhakti Giridhari Bon Maharaj. There, if you read Prabhupada's folio, we can see how actually when Prabhupada was preaching in the West, and when he came to India, to Vrindavan, then he took Bon Maharaj on a tour. He showed him the Krishna Balaram temple, showed him his publications and everything. And he had this relationship with Bhakti Giridhari Bon Maharaj in this way. And we can also know, published in the Harmonist, there's some histories, incidents in the life of Bhakti Giridhari Bon Maharaj. We know that he was so, like we just heard, he is Nanda Sunu Brahmachari. And he was so qualified, so enthusiastic. Because of his qualification and his enthusiasm, then Prabhupada very quickly awarded him sannyas. He's one of the first, after Bhakti Pradip Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, maybe there's one or two people, like Bhakti Giridhari Bon Maharaj, he was second or third sannyasi of Prabhupada. He was so much enthusiastic to preach. And Prabhupada, he loved this enthusiasm. Because he himself, on the order of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagat Guru, Prabhupada was preaching everywhere. When, in the beginning, Vinod Bihari Brahmachari and Kunja Bihari, Prabhu, Paramananda, Prabhu, Vaishnav Das Babaji, when they all started coming, then they were the very first. Then after Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, he was Narahari Seva Vigraha Prabhu. Narahari Seva Vigraha Prabhu also from Bangladesh. So when they stayed back to take care of Mayapur, then Prabhupada could go preach in Calcutta here and there, very freely. Because they were taking full responsibility. Then we see them, all these the cream of society, all these brilliant and very enthusiastic boys, they're all coming to Prabhupada. And this Bhakti Hridaya Maharaj, his Nandasuna brahmachari, he was one of them. And then very quickly because of his enthusiasm and his dedication in bhakti and his desire to please Prabhupada, then Prabhupada awarded him this sannyas. The sannyasis, they say they are Bhajananandi and Goshtyanandi. Those who are Bhajananandis, they preach through their bhajan. They sit, they perform their nam bhajan, and they usually take this Babaji verse. But this is not like the bogus Babaji verse that we see in Radhakund here and there. The Paramahamsa verse that Rupa and Sanatan they took, this is Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, they found any old cloth, they tore it in 4 places and they wore. But the current Babajis, they go to this Ganga tree, Yamuna tree, these shops, and they're buying 200, 300 rupee cloth per meter, and they're cutting very nicely and new cloth wearing. This is not the Babaji verse that Prabhupada established. Prabhupada's Babaji verse is like sannyas. The only difference is that they don't receive danda and it is in white cloth. But even Gurudev at one point, he published the whole Guru Parampara. Babaji Maharaj, Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, all in saffron cloth. And he said, in the future I will also give Babaji verse in saffron cloth. Why? Because Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj said, all these Babajis, they're ruining the reputation of Rupa and Sanatan. Therefore he put on all silken cloth and jewels and ornaments, and I will not wear this cloth. Therefore Prabhupada said, we follow this Varnashram Dharma. So the Babaji, the Goshtyanandis, the Bhajananandis, they preach how? Through their bhajan, like Babaji Maharaj. Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, never he left India, but his picture is in every house around the world, all devotees' houses. But then those who specifically take sannyas, danda, and the saffron cloth, the Gopi Bab mantra, then they are called Goshtyanandis. They are like the Brihad Mridanga. We have the Brihad Mridanga, which is the publication. Then we have the regular Mridanga. Then we have the Bhagavat, the Vaishnavas, who travel around and preaching. So these are the sannyasis, these are the Goshtyanandis. And they are like direct limbs of Prabhupada. They were traveling here and there preaching. And so Ban Maharaj, he was like Anyatam, foremost like this. Going everywhere, we heard in Chennai, Bombay, here and there. And ultimately he even went to the west. He went England, Germany, so many places. And we know this famous katha that when Ban Maharaj came back, that time he sat down with Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj and Bhakti Raksha Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And he was saying, I went there and preached, but there was some difficulty. The Western people there, they're philosophically minded, but they have so many doubts and they ask so many difficult questions, so many questions that are very hard to answer. And even I myself, I was answering these questions, but I found that there was some difficulty in convincing them, and in the sense that they were not practicing the Dharma. They may have philosophically accepted, but they were not practicing their life. And then Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj and Bhakti Raksha Sridhar Maharaj, they began giving some answer, this and that. Then especially Swami Maharaj, he was very logical. He would give some answer like this, that. And then after that, then Bhakti Hridaya Ban Maharaj, he clapped and said, today the East has defeated the West. He became very happy. Yes, I am very happy to hear all these things. Now we know that this was Prabhupada's desire to preach everywhere. And Bhakti Hridaya Ban Maharaj, he laid the foundation. He went to the West, in Germany, England. These places very, very hard to preach actually. In America, the people there are a little bit more liberal. But in Europe especially, they're very more close-minded. So Ban Maharaj did very hard work there, making this foundation and preaching. And then we know that Sharanga Goswami Maharaj himself, he went there to England. And he also built on that foundation that Ban Maharaj had preached there. And even Ban Maharaj, he brought back 2 disciples. This, I think Sarananda and one more. He brought them back, and they took initiation from Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Prabhupada. So Prabhupada was so pleased, he was taking money from the preaching and he was sponsoring these preachers to go to the West. We know then later, after the disappearance of Prabhupada, then in the harmonists described that how there was some leela that Ban Maharaj, he had committed some offense, or he had expressed like that, or he had felt that I have done some, he was feeling this mood that I have committed some offense and I need to perform some prayasthita, some atonement. So then he went to one famous library in Varanasi. There is this Bhrigu Samhita. Bhrigu Samhita is, Bhrigu Rishi, he is famous astrologer, and he has made charts of specific jivas from all of creation. Only special jivas, their charts to be found in that Bhrigu Samhita. So Bon Maharaj gave his date and birth and everything, and his chart was found there in that Samhita. And there he mentioned that, in your previous life, you had committed some offense to your guru. And therefore, in this life, therefore some effects of that you are feeling in this life. So then Bon Maharaj said, yes, I can feel that now. After the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, there's so much difficulties in preaching the mission, so much difficulties and now there's so many disturbances coming in the society, in Prabhupada's mission. I feel that this is affecting me. So what he did, he went in a boat in the middle of the Ganga. There at Prayag, this was Prayag, not Varanasi, I think. Prayag, there, the Trisangam there in the boat, he stayed there for 2-3 weeks or a month, I forget how long. He did only bhajan there in the boat, in the Ganga, not leaving. And then finally Shiva came to him and gave him darshan. Said that you have done so much prayaschitta, but now it's time for you to go to Vrindavan. There in Vrindavan you do bhajan, you will find peace, and all your preaching and all your endeavors will be successful. Then Bon Maharaj, Bhakti Hridaya Bon Maharaj, taking this as a sign, he offered pranams to Mahadev Shiva, this Vishwanath, and then he left and he came to Vrindavan. And here in Vrindavan he did bhajan for so many years. He said that in his ashram there's like he has a cave there. And in that cave underground in the basement he was doing his bhajan. And his Gurudev said that he did bhajan there, and he had Brinda Devi herself came and gave darshan to Bon Maharaj. And this way he was so successful in his he established this Bon Maharaj University, and so many things he accomplished. And finally we heard, as he was leaving this world, then he chose the day, I am going to leave on this day, on this Guru Purnima. But like you heard, the disciples touched his body. So then he said, okay, again I will have to go into Samadhi. Then again he sat in Samadhi, and then he left on this day. So Gurudev said, he is like my Shiksha Guru. And Gurudev glorified him extensively. Therefore we are very fortunate to hear the Vaishnava Charitra Sarvara Pavitra Jai Ninda Hingsa Kori Bhakati Vinod Na Sambhashay Tare Take Sada Mauna Dori. To hear the Charitra, the qualities, the Gunavali, Vaishnavera Gunagan, Korila Jivaratran, if we hear their qualities and we repeat some of their glories, then definitely our own lives will become successful. So offering my Shraddha Pushpanjali, the Lotus feet of Bhakti Hridaya Bon Gosai Maharaj, I am praying for your courteous mercy. That may bless me, that I may always remain in the guidance, in the shelter, and dedicated to the service of Shri Guru Pada Padma Vancha Kalpatarubhasta Kipasanda Vevaja Vidhanam Pavane Vaishnava.
এবার করুণা করো